Finally, we're going to take a look at this DLC map, Angel City. It's, as far as I know, an exact remake of the Titanfall 1 map, but thought I would give these new names even if some old names exist. This area right here is Market, is what I'm calling it. It's the only major market in the area, so I just thought I'd name this Market. And then this I'm calling Market Apartment, if you want to call that out, if some snipers up there or something. And then these two buildings here that I'm looking at, I'm calling them both Angel Apartments. Technically they flow into another thing, but we'll look at that later. This is Swamp, I'm calling this. So this whole green, connected green area on this side of the map, I'm calling Swamp. There's also a grassy part that's an alleyway, but this is what I'm going to call Swamp because it has that water. So this is Kodai block, and it kind of connects to the Angel Apartments. We'll take another look at the distinction later. From here, we'll run up to what I'm calling Seaside. So this whole area that is bordered by this sea, I'm going to call Seaside. I'm not naming all of these buildings here, but I am naming a few of the key features, but it would just be ridiculous if I named every building. But this is warehouse right here, so we're gonna climb up onto the warehouse roof, and so this cluster of buildings, I would call all of them warehouse. And then down here, I'm calling this Lion Square. You can see it's sort of bordered with these pink neon lights, so you have a good sort of denotation of how that's separated from the areas around it. And then this I'm just calling Star. I think it's some supermarket, but that's all I'm calling it. The main area here, I'm calling this Courtyard, and then the adjacent building I'm calling Plaza. I guess you could swap those two names if you wanted, but that's what I'm calling those two. And again, this is a look at Kodai block, and we'll actually run through it another time. But that whole area I'm calling Kodai block. So we'll look at these streets right here. This street stretches out that way. I'm calling that Mall Street. And then this is Star Street in front of this market there. And so we'll drop down here and run into the mall, after which the adjacent street is named. And we'll climb up onto this roof here and have a look at some of the stuff. So over here, I'm calling this area the dock. The Seaside and the dock are sort of different areas, but you can see why I'm naming them each what they are. And then we'll climb onto this bridge, which I'm just calling Bridge. I think it's the biggest bridge on the map, if there are any others. Hope it's not too confusing. That building there I'm calling Coffee Shop, and then these other buildings that are sort of connected to it in blue, I'm just also calling Coffee Shop for the most part. So then these are the coffee roofs, which overlook some of these streets here. So we'll get a glimpse at the Kodai Street, which is adjacent to the Kodai block there. We'll take another look at that in a minute. And climb up here, and we'll jump down into this street here. I'm calling this street Market Street because it runs alongside the market. And then we'll cross through the market and then go to this back alley, which I'm calling Back Alley. This is the other green area that I was talking about, but I'm naming all this sort of alleyway, this whole path for Titans, Back Alley. And then I'm going to name this building here Back Alley House. I think it's actually like mass storage building, but Back Alley House is what I'm going with. And so we'll cross on the bridge, and I think that names most of the major features of the map. And we'll climb up through Plaza here to finish this area out. But I did want to look at the distinction over here once we cross over these different streets. The distinction between Kodai block and how it intersects with Angel Apartments. They overlap a bit in this courtyard here, but that's about it. So I'm gonna jump up through here. I think this is my last video in this series. We'll see what other DLC maps there are, and if there's enough interest, I may name some of those as well. But I appreciate you watching if you've stuck through all these, and I hope they're helpful. Thanks, subscribe and like if you want to, and check you out later. Bye.